Hey guys, welcome back to another impressions video. For more horror related content, I'm trying to squeeze in this last video for October 31st, Halloween month. And what better game to talk about than none other than the terrifying Murder House by Puppet Combo, which is an indie developer that released this game, I believe in 2020, but on PC and a Steam, platform. As of 2021, this game got released on the PlayStation 4, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. So it's widely available for all of you horror fans out there. I was aiming to finish Tormented Souls here on the PlayStation 5. I've been enjoying this game a lot because it's very Resident Evil classic gameplay, elements. So unfortunately, I'm about halfway through the game, and then the Steam Halloween sale happened. So I decided to pick up a bunch of indie low budget titles, and Murder House was among them. And I decided to fire up the game, download it, and install it. And I was I guess grabbed by the game. And considering it's a fairly short game, it only took me 4 hours to complete the game. I just played this game in a couple gaming sessions in the course of 2 days. So I decided to stick to Murder House, and then I'll go back to Tormented Soul on the PlayStation 5. But yeah, as I mentioned, Murder House, it's a low budget indie game by Puppet Combo, which is a studio that has made other horror, like low budget horror games, but they were not released on Steam yet. They have been released on the itch.io platform, I believe. So this is kind of like their first Steam release, and I think there's another game, a horror game from them coming up to soon, I guess. This game is basically it's an ode to old classic Resident Evil gameplay, with fixed camera angles and tank controls, and survival horror elements such as very low ammo, very limited weapon usage, and limited saves. You in this game you collect pencils to write on a journal, and those are your save points, and they're obviously limited. So you have to be very careful in how you manage your inventory and items. And of course, this game has a very unique 80s low budget slasher type of horror film from the 80s, which is a very unique kind of like art direction that the developer decided to take. The story-wise, this game takes place in the 80s. There's a prologue where you play as a young boy. You're at the mall. You're at a photo shoot with the Easter Bunny, and then it happens that you fall asleep on the mall. You wake up at night. Your parents are gone, so you're by yourself inside this mall, and you have to try to escape. And that prologue kind of introduces some of the gameplay mechanics. How to play the game, how to use items and whatnot. And of course, this is where you find out that the Easter Bunny was hanging around in that in that closed mall, and he's after you. So shortly after the prologue, I think 3 years later, in 1988, that's where the main game starts, and it starts with you arriving with a television, with a TV news station to this abandoned house, the abandoned house of this serial killer, the Easter Bunny that. I believe he was captured or even maybe killed by the cops. So this is kind of like documenting his, crazy, lifestyle, and it's an abandoned house. But unlikely for you, you find out that he's still he's still hanging around. He's in the house, and it's up to you to kind of solve that mystery as well. Also. You're trying to survive, but at the same time, you're wondering why the heck is he roaming around the abandoned house. So he used to be a serial killer that is specialized, I guess, in murdering, children. So that's a pretty creepy tone to this game that sets the game going. I'm not gonna spoil obviously too much. It's a short game. I highly recommend that you guys play this. But there's a new addition to this game, which is kind of like a post-ending scene where more things are revealed as far as the story. So once you beat the game, make sure you stick around after the credits, because there's actually like a playable chapter at the end of the game that reveals a little bit more about the story and the characters in this game, which I thought it was kind of funny and at the same time surprising of how the true ending of the game unfolded. So pleasant surprise there that was added later in the game, as I understand it. Now, graphically, this game, again, since the game is basically an 80s VHS slasher type of horror direction, this game gives the option to use different filters, such as scan lines and VHS effects that kind of blur the screen a little bit, which is really cool. It adds to the art direction. It adds to that 80s vibe that the developers are trying to achieve, which is, I think, a really cool idea. However, I decided to turn off the filters. I think even though they add to the immersion and to the, I guess, vision of the developer, it just makes things a little bit difficult to see, considering this game is a low polygon, like 3D game, very similar to like the early PS1 titles, the very low resolution, so that's very, I guess, pixelated in terms of the textures, very low quality, so it's kind of hard to make things out sometimes, and adding filters, I think, just blurs things a little bit more. So I decided to turn those off and just play the game in a clean state, if you will. Obviously, this game features fixed camera angles that are not fully fixed. They're a little bit dynamic, almost as if you're being filmed with a dolly. So that can create some problems. I saw some complaints of people being motion sick from the dynamic camera angles, and I can include myself in that group. I had to cut short a couple of playing sessions just because it's just a weird effect. Think of Resident Evil Code Veronica, where the camera kind of follows you a little bit, and then it changes to the next camera when you're around a corner or something like that. So very I guess unique take on the fixed camera angle concept, but it can create some problems, so just be mindful of that. And the game does feature a first-person mode, which was added later to kind of address this, but I decided to stick around with the fixed camera angle for purest sake, I guess, and also because it really makes things easier when you're being chased and just to see everything a little bit better. But be mindful that this game does have tank controls. This game has fixed camera angles, so it's a very old school experience that I guess it's kind of catered towards old fans like me of the classic Resident Evil games. In terms of the gameplay, obviously, this game relies heavily on being chased by the Easter Bunny, which is a terrifying villain. He's after you pretty much the entire game, and obviously you have limited resources. You can't really kill him during the course of the game. You can kind of like delay him, if you will, and then the idea is for you to run from room to room and find hiding spots. So kind of similar to, I guess, Clock Tower, or maybe the Outlast, where you have to hide inside closets or under a table and things like that. You just have to make sure you have enough distance, and then you wait a little bit, and then he goes by, and then you're free to resume exploring the house again. The puzzles are somewhat obtuse, not too bad though. This game does require you to explore every nook and cranny, the furniture, so you can open the drawers and things like that. So it's a little bit annoying in the sense that you really have to be thorough in this game. The puzzles are not very hard again, but the stressful part comes from checking every nook and cranny, knowing that the villain in this game can open the door of the room you're in at any given second. So you're always under that stress. You're always sweating bullets, if you will, in this game, and just because of that horror, element that's this crazy bunny is chasing you the whole time. So it's a very stressful experience, but at the same time, kind of rewarding in a horror type of way. And of course, it goes without saying, but this game is extremely gory. It pays homage to the 80s slasher films, So all the death sequences in this game are full of blood and gore, and just very gruesome scenes, and you have to be very composed when you're playing this game. There was one thing that actually bothered me. There's an area in the game where you get to this kind of like secret area for the Easter Bunny, and you see what happened to some of the victims. And yeah, let me just say that without spoiling anything, you have to be very well composed mentally to see. It was a little bit unsettling in my opinion. Some of the images that I saw, some just very horrifying and just very, very crazy. So that was a little bit unpleasant to see and watch. But other than that, the game, it's very effective at what it's trying to create, which is having the player, you being terrified the whole time and being on your toes literally every second that you play the game, because at any given second this guy can come inside the room you're in, and you have to find a way to get away from him. And to top things off, if he takes a couple hits, you're done. Your health in this game is very limited. You take a lot of damage, so that just adds to the attention in this game. But overall, I was very pleased. I would say that I only recommend this game if it's on sale, just because of the very, very short nature of the game. Again, I beat it in 4 hours. You can easily beat this game in under that if you're a little bit more speedy, if you will. Yeah, it's not a very long game. There's no replay value in my opinion. So it's basically a game that you play for the experience. But if you guys enjoy old school horror games, survival horror games, this will be maybe down your alley and very worth trying if you're into especially slasher gory movies of the 80s. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching this video, and I will talk to you later. Take it easy.